With strong political and regulatory backing, supported by industry-centric focus, Gift City is the place to be to experience the $5 trillion economy dream of the nation come true. In fact, Federal Bank was one of the first entrants in banking at Gift City. Over the years, Federal Bank's IBU in Gift City has served thousands of satisfied customers, and with new regulatory framework allowing retail banking, Federal Bank's resident and NRI customers will always find suitable solutions to the requirements from our specialized, state-of-the-art dealing systems to access global markets, supportive and dedicated team with the aid of our overseas network of relationship managers. Adding to the existing line of treasury, trade finance and corporate loan products available at the IBU in Gift City. We are proud to launch the following products: overseas retail loans, current account in various currencies, savings account in foreign currencies, presently offering 0.3% interest rate for US dollar, term deposits, floating rate deposits where deposit rate changes with the interest rates, foreign currency loans against deposits. These will address the growing demand for retail-oriented products. Many more innovative products like structured deposits are in progress. Presently, products are available in US dollar, euro and the pound sterling. Both resident and NRI customers can enjoy all manner of products offered by Federal Bank in Gift City, and the offerings are sure to find a place in their portfolio. Non-resident Indians can avail the advantage of investing in term deposits at attractive interest rates for short-term periods ranging from 90 days to 1 year, which they do not get while putting their money in FCNR deposits. Similarly, NRIs can avail loans at overseas locations against their NRE or FCNR deposits in domestic branches of Federal Bank and other banks thanks to Gift City's offshore status. Federal Bank has been at the forefront in offering value to customers. The fact that 22% of the individual inward remittances to India are funneled through Federal Bank is evidence of the trust placed in us by our customers across the globe. We remain committed to serving all our customers globally as the perfect banking partner and will continue to add value to our distinguished clients by offering innovative products and services from our Gift City branch.
Do more with your savings with Federal Bank. Now you can open an account of your choice anytime from anywhere. Enjoy exclusive discounts at restaurants. Get cashback every time you shop. Enjoy numerous offers every week. Use any bank's ATM any number of times for free. Debit card EMI, tap to pay contactless cards. Exclusive offers on your debit cards, mobile banking, net banking, and so much more only with Federal Bank, your perfect banking partner.
with your savings with Federal Bank. Now you can enjoy exclusive discounts at restaurants, cashback every time you shop, numerous offers every week, debit card EMI, tap-to-pay contactless cards, exclusive offers on your debit cards, mobile banking, net banking, and so much more only with Federal Bank, your perfect banking partner.
The Gujarat International Finance Tech City, or GIFT City, is India's first international financial center. It is a special zone that's treated as an offshore territory under the Indian Foreign Exchange Regulations, similar to DIFC, AGM, Abu Dhabi, Singapore, London, etc. GIFT City is also home to Federal Bank's first and only overseas status branch. The GIFT SEZ is spread over 886 acres and is based on an integrated development model that offers the right mix of talent, technology, entrepreneurial spirit and state-of-the-art infrastructure. It is well connected with international airports like London, Singapore, New York and other leading global cities. All this has helped GIFT City find a spot on the top 100 International Finance Center rankings and be counted among the topmost emerging international finance centers. The International Financial Services Centers Authority, or IFSCA, was established to regulate all financial services, products and institutions in GIFT City, with attractive taxation regimes and regulations that are at par with global standards. International exchanges at GIFT City have crossed a daily turnover of $30 billion, with leading national and international banks starting their offshore transactions. GIFT City is being developed as the next-gen fintech hub, and the latest business verticals that have commenced in GIFT City are aircraft leasing and financing, global in-house centers, alternate investment funds, international bullion exchange. With strong political and
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 91st Annual General Meeting of the Federal Bank Limited. Request all participants to please stand up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Welcome once again. I'm Sameer Rasdev, Company Secretary of the bank. I'm attending the meeting from the registered office of the bank in Alua in Kerala. Hope all of you are safe and well. In these challenging times, we are conducting the AGM of the bank through video conference rather than the usual place at a place in a physical venue. Please note that all the shareholders joining this meeting are by default put on mute mode for the smooth and seamless conduct of the meeting. If members face any issue for participation in the AGM, please contact the helpline number of CDSL as mentioned in our AGM notice. Please also note that all the registers like the registers of directors, KMPs, contracts, arrangements and other documents as required under the Companies Act are kept open for inspection. We will be able to provide the copies of it through email based on a request. Now I cordially invite Mr. C. Balagopal, Chairman of the bank, who is also attending the meeting from the registered office of the bank, to preside over the meeting and address the shareholders. Thank you. Over to Chairman, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rajdev. Good morning to all shareholders, the board members, and other officials of the bank who are attending the 91st Annual General Meeting of the bank. As the requisite quorum is present, I now call the meeting to order. I would like to request the participants to stand and observe a minute's silence in memory of all those who have left us during the year. Thank you. I now call upon the directors and senior officials of the bank to introduce themselves.
A.P. Hota, Independent Director.
Good morning to all of you. Siddharth Sen Gupta, Independent Director.
Good morning. I am CA Manoj Fadnas, Independent Director.
Good morning. I'm Sudarshan Sen, Independent Director.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Varsha Purandare, Independent Director.
Good morning, everybody. This is Shankarshan Basu, Independent Director.
Good morning. This is Ramanand Mundkur, Independent Director.
Shyam Srinivasan, Managing Director.
Good morning. This is Ashutosh Khajuria, Executive Director.
Good morning, everybody. This is Shalini Warrior, Executive Director.
Good morning, everyone. This is Harsh Dugar, Group President and Country Head Wholesale Banking.
Good morning, everyone. This is Venkatraman. I'm the Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. Let me once again extend a warm welcome to all our shareholders who joined us today for the AGM. The bank is conducting the third virtual annual general meeting considering the pandemic and in compliance with the applicable MCA circulars. The bank had provided the facility to all the shareholders of the bank to cast their votes electronically on all resolutions set forth in the notice through remote e-voting from July 24th to July 26th. Shareholders who have not cast their votes electronically through remote e-voting and who are participating in this meeting have an opportunity to cast their votes during the meeting through e-voting system provided by CDSL as per the details mentioned in the AGM notice. The Board of Directors has appointed CS Shivakumar P, practicing Company Secretary, as the scrutinizer to supervise the e-voting process. The result of the voting of all resolutions would be announced by the bank within the regulatory timeline and would be made available in the bank's websites of stock exchanges of BSE and NSE and on the CDSL website. The resolution shall be deemed to be passed today, subject to receipt of requisite number of votes. The notice convening the 91st Annual General Meeting and Annual Report were already circulated to all the members, and hence all the resolutions for the 13 agenda items as set out in the notice of Annual General Meeting is taken as read. The shareholders are requested to note that there were no qualifications, observations, or comments on financial statements or matters which had any adverse effect on the functioning of the bank mentioned in the auditor's report. Dear shareholders and others attending the meeting, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the virtual meet of 91st Annual General Body Meeting of the Federal Bank. I have been associated with the bank for 7 years and I am honored to be addressing this meeting today in the capacity as the bank's chairman. We have all seen that the fiscal year that went by had heightened challenges with supply chain restrictions, rise in input costs, geopolitical tensions. And despite the arduous macro environment, your bank has performed excellently, as it has been doing these past few years. The bank is on a journey to become the most admired banking institution. And in this journey, its focus is on providing a superior and unparalleled banking experience to customers. In fact, this has been the core of its philosophy. This year, the bank has recorded a market share gain in its core business due to its thrust on innovation. The growth momentum will be enhanced in the coming years due to the incremental asset mix we have introduced in recent times in the form of credit cards, personal loans, microfinance institutions, and commercial vehicles and construction equipment business. These green shoot segments will soon become formidable business opportunities and will support the bank in gaining market share and to grow in scale. The bank is entering its next phase of growth strategy with a strong position, with a focus on becoming a market leader and embracing this change in the environment by increasing and improving its expertise. The ambition of the bank to break into new realms with unified purpose have all the efforts centered around that. The bank is expected to further leverage this with new age distribution channels and greater conviction, which would lead it to greater levels of excellence while capitalizing on the opportunities. Additionally, as a responsible, progressive, and sustainable step, the bank has embedded environment, social, and governance standards in its core business operations. For instance, the bank is today a near paperless bank with perhaps one of the lowest direct and indirect carbon footprints. You will be glad to know that your bank is among the largest facilitators of various government-sponsored credit schemes to support financial inclusion. These sustainability actions have helped the bank secure a spot in CRISIL Sustainability Yearbook 2022 and bag an investment from the International Finance Corporation, IFC. This is IFC's first such investment in India, which is aligned to the greening equity approach. I take this opportunity to welcome IFC aboard and believe that the bank would grow leaps and bounds with their global expertise. The Federal Bank has delivered one of its best performances with a broad-based progress across all parameters. Let me share a few of the highlights here. Net profit growth was sturdier at 18.83%. Net worth stood at 18,660.98 crores, growing by 15.83% over the previous year. Capital adequacy ratio improved 115 basis points to 15.77%. The bank also witnessed a strong momentum in advances. The total gross advances grew by 9.46% year on year to rupees 1,47,639 crore. The market share of personal inward remittances to India saw an upsurge to 21% as clients experienced end-to-end automated solutions that ensured instant transfers with the highest levels of safety. CASA ratio stood at 36.94%. Gross NPA as a percentage to gross advances stood at 2.80% and net NPA percentage stood at 0.96%. With this well-capitalized position, a solid market reputation, and credit quality, Federal Bank is now positioned to accelerate growth and withstand any disruptions that may come. Every organization is built on the power of people. I am fortunate to have some eminent intellects on the board who have guided this organization in its pursuit of the highest standards of governance. I thank them for their support and guidance. The members of the board of your bank represent some of the best of expertise in their respective fields. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Ms. Grace Koshi for her leadership as chairperson of the bank. This year, two new members, Mr. Ramanand Munkur and Mr. Shankarshan Basu, joined the board. I welcome them on board, and I'm sure that your bank will benefit from the diverse expertise they bring in. The current top tier of senior leadership of the bank is a seasoned and vibrant team of professionals who will continue the relentless pursuit of excellence under the able guidance of their visionary Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan. With their immense knowledge, expertise, and values that are aligned with the organization, they are doing a phenomenal job in taking your bank to greater heights. Their efforts have translated into your bank winning prestigious accolades over time. It's gratifying to note that, like previous years too, last year too, your bank could bag a bouquet of coveted awards in recognition of its outstanding performance in multiple domains. To name a few, the bank was adjudged the best mid-sized bank by KPMG for the second consecutive year. The bank also won various awards for its technology initiatives such as Finoviti Award, BFSI Technology Excellence Award, and Annual Banking Technology Award by IBA. The bank has increased dominance in its home market and continues to increase prominence in other territories. This is indeed shaping our plans for future growth quite well. Our core principles of ethics and excellence have been time-tested and relevant, but to infuse more vigor, the bank has devised a new value framework of CARES, C-A-R-E-S, which stands for commitment to excellence, agility, relationship orientation, ethics, and sustainability. These will be the guiding principles for actions and interactions for the employees with all the stakeholders, making the bank relevant in a multi-generational and multicultural ecosystem. It will also reinforce our strategic vision of becoming the most admired bank for all our stakeholders. In conclusion, I thank all the stakeholders for standing by us in these most challenging times. We are grateful to the customers for trusting us, and I sincerely express my gratitude to our people who truly deserve appreciation for rallying together and remaining committed towards ensuring seamless services to customers. Thank you. I now invite the Managing Director and CEO to deliver his speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Dear shareholders, it is a privilege and an honor to welcome you all once again to the 91st Annual General Meeting. I always considered this a privilege, albeit this time it's on video. Thank you for joining us today. The last fiscal year has been pointed out, and many have spoken about being an action-packed one on many counts. But we stayed rooted to our commitment and delivered on all our promises despite, like our chairman said, an arduous macro environment. We saw 2 waves of COVID-19 here in India, several waves across the world, global supply chain stress, widespread inflation, geopolitical tensions to top it all. But mercifully, none of these could dampen the spirit of Team Federal. We built from a position of strength and made considerable progress in all our chosen areas. We did not only deliver on the business, but touched 2.45 million lives through our Sanjeevani vaccination program and collaborated with various institutions across the country to improve the healthcare infrastructure during the pandemic. Let me begin with a few highlights of our performance last year, but I want to call out, as I ended my speech in the last AGM, I had spoken about 3 fundamental principles of what we call green, granular, and digital. This financial year, many of our actions were guided by, you would have noticed, were guided by these principles. Our chairman spoke about the improvements we made on our financial ratios. We posted it in our annual report. So I don't want to call that out all over again, but it is important to note, using these principles of GGD, green, granular, and digital, we've made meaningful progress on all these measures of corporate governance, growth, and importantly, targeting the right segments and the right audiences. Over the last decade, you'll be happy to note the bank has grown 5 times in the overall business life, and we ended the year at 3.26 lakh crores. And about 10 years back, that figure was less than 60,000 crores. So we've made progress, and all of it using the principles of granular, and over the years, adapted materially on digital. We did speak about improving ratios on CASA, which again is a significantly digital movement. We improved our capability to penetrate using digital. And lastly, the capital adequacy of the bank has always been well above statutory requirements, and the year that went by was no exception. In our annual report that you may have had a chance to go through, I had spoken about 12 formidable pillars on which the year that went by were delivered. While I'm not seeking to repeat each of them, I do want to call out a few which brings to attention some of the areas that we've given high focus on. I'm truly proud of what our bank and our colleagues have achieved individually and collectively
We are now officially in the top 50 of great places to work in India. This year, our ratings moved up 21 points to an All India rating of 26. We're determined to get into the top 10 not very far from now. Our constant endeavor in building, sustaining, and recognizing a high trust and high performance culture reflects in the dedication and intense efforts of our colleagues that our colleagues bring to work. Our workforce is an accurate example of diversity. We have today over 20% of our footprint which are managed by women executives. We have 41% of our women executives who are women. We have hired of the 800 people we've hired, almost 40% are women executives. We've recruited from 200 institutions across the country in this year, representing 20 different states. A true example of diversity and inclusiveness. While the industry grappled with high levels of attrition over the last year, our steadfast commitment to our people not only retained our diverse employee strength, but also allowed them to have a true sense of belonging. We truly believe that this is a vital part of our success story. We hope our maiden Business Responsibility and Sustainability report, which forms a part of our annual report, caught your attention. As a socially responsible corporate, you will note that we are making meaningful progress on a host of initiatives. Our chairman mentioned the investments by IFC. I joined him in welcoming IFC as a core shareholder of our bank and committed to the fact that they have chosen us largely influenced by our ESG principles and practice. We have scaled our efforts for sustainable and green financing and are committed to our goals of climatic ambitions and it will influence our strategic directions as we move ahead. We believe we can scale new heights in these areas to firmly plant our flag as the torchbearer for good ESG practices. In our efforts to finance green projects, we've introduced the concept of green deposits. Under that, the fund sources will be used for financing renewable energy, green buildings, smart agriculture, and water or waste management projects, among others. It will provide our retail and corporate customers an opportunity to contribute towards a better planet. MSMEs are the lifeblood of India, contributing to well over 30% of India's GDP and accounting for a majority of employment. At Federal Bank, we have always been a key supporter of MSMEs by lending to this underserved segment. As of March 31, 2022, MSMEs financing accounted for about 13% of our total loan book. We intend to retain our focus and increase the share, and largely enabled by our inclusive approach and, importantly, a slew of digital capabilities. The year that went by launched an online lending platform called federalinstaloans.com for quick and hassle-free credit approvals for our MSMEs. I'm happy to report just yesterday we got to know that we were the winner of this launch, fetched us the ET Best Award for programs that are digitally including the MSME segment. A hybrid focus on consistency, client satisfaction, and digital innovations are the driving force which brought home the award for the best bank, mid-sized bank in the PT KPMG survey, second year in a row, and followed that with the Private Sector Bank of the Year award in the Outlook Money Awards. I'm sure you recall Fedi, our AI-powered virtual assistant, which continues to witness increased acceptance for its indispensability in addressing customer requirements. Fedi has consistently grown smarter and more human since then. We are currently using over 230 robotic process automations and nearly 300 APIs to improve process efficiencies by combining AI and machine learning. And this reflects how we will use technology to enable scale without linearly increasing our cost structure. An example of early success, over 71,979 personal loans totaling up to 770 crores were disbursed to customers through self-service facilities and entirely digitally with no human intervention. We ensured a whopping 96.9 lakh digital transactions, up 26.24% this year over the previous year. We became one of the first banks to go live with the account aggregator system, displaying our agility and technological prowess to help develop the necessary infrastructure as well as focus on enhancing customer experience. Last year, we were empaneled by the Government of India and RBI for collection of direct and indirect taxes. We consider this a milestone achievement for our franchise, and this undoubtedly opens up a gamut of opportunities for us. With this authorization, we enter the league of handful of banks which are permitted to collect taxes on all forms across the country. Needless to mention, our franchise is built upon strong client relationships, which is clear as we are in the top 5 banks in terms of debit card usage across all private banks in India. While consumer preferences and behavior have accelerated, we can proudly say that so has our readiness and understanding of our clients through using cognitive technologies and analytics. Last year, we launched a comprehensive CRM solution across segments to deliver connected, data-driven, intelligent customer experiences across all touchpoints seamlessly. We're confident that this will affirm a very positive customer feedback in the annual NPS scores as we seek them out from our customers to understand how they are experiencing us and whether we are actually living up to our promises of being transparent and seamless. You may recall that the first half of the last decade, we added over 600 branches and more than doubled our footprint. Post that, we paused expansion of footprint because we wanted to ensure that we leverage and influence and ensure efficiencies are built in. As we enter calendar 22, I'm delighted that all branches have turned profitable, and that gives us the inspiration to flip our strategy from originally what was branch light distribution heavy to light branch heavy distribution, which envisages over the next 3 years our network expanding by another 25%. And we are confident. You may have noticed that in the first quarter of this financial year, we already added 10 branches. And we're lining up a slew of branch launches in newer markets in the course of FY22 and beyond, FY23 and beyond. This will help us mobilize growth that is distribution driven and top tier while maintaining an unwavering focus on service quality. If you look back over the years and track our performance, you may notice that the pivot of everything we have done has been around consistency and to build for a strong tomorrow. Our in-house mantra of today's success for tomorrow's significance continues, and the momentum will be enhanced by the incremental asset mix which we have introduced in recent times, as pointed out by our chairman, in terms of credit cards, personal loans, and a range of businesses that are both new to us but growing and gives us an opportunity to present ourselves meaningfully as a bank that is able to service the entire spectrum of client requirements across the length and breadth of India. These green shoot segments will soon become formidable business opportunities and will support us to gain market share and grow in scale. Overall, the pace of economic activity has picked up and the momentum is expected to continue. You may have already seen that in our recently published Q1 results. Opportunities for lending in promising areas will be explored to diversify the portfolio. To sum up, despite the economic headwinds, our franchise has adapted well to challenges posed by the operating environment. We are optimistic that our holistic approach and initiatives will help us deliver value to our customers, employees, and shareholders while we fulfill our vision of being the most admired bank. The last fiscal exhibited to the world that getting back to normal alone won't suffice, as there were permanent shifts across industries. But honestly, my belief is that this is quite the kind of a situation in which our bank shines. Last year, we recorded market share gain in our core business and continued the thrust on innovation. This year, our ambition of breaking into new realms is quite firm as businesses are becoming more confident and we are ready to capitalize on the opportunities that the environment provides. My confidence for the future lies with our near 13,000 employees, and I want to thank each one of them for their dedication, which has kept the essential service of the bank working even in the most difficult of times. Together with them, as well as our board of directors, the team remains committed to delivering on our financial and strategic objectives. And the scale of the task that remains is no illusion. Our commitment of strengthening the core, investing for growth, improving further on the risk and compliance culture would continue unabated. This should help deliver improving returns and value for you, our shareholders, while building a bank that we can all admire. We are on track, and I recognize there are no shortcuts. Finally, I take this opportunity to thank the distinguished board members of the bank for their continued leadership and unwavering support. In closing, I'd like to place on record our sincere thanks to the Government of India, Reserve Bank of India, SEBI, various state governments and regulatory authorities in India and overseas for their valuable guidance, support and cooperation, and all our stakeholders for this trust and patronage. And to you, all our dear shareholders, thank you for your constant support and patronage. We remain committed to excellence as always. Proud to be a Fed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shyam, for your update. Now it's time for the speaker shareholders who are already registered to express their opinions and to seek clarifications on matters related to the bank. Speaker shareholders are requested to cooperate while expressing their views so as to give sufficient time to all these shareholder speakers today.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is moderator speaking. I request all shareholders accept the unmute request sent by the moderator and turn on your video while speaking. With this, I request the first speaker, Mr. Umesh Kantilal Shaha, to turn on your video and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Respected Chairman, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Chairman, sir, Managing Director, and Mr. Samir also giving me this opportunity, and also our distinguished board of directors. And I can see the confident the speech by this chairman and Shyam Srinivasan. We are going ahead with a, good progressing. And as chairman and all these people are saying that we are on the course to most admired bank. We can see from the first quarter result also. Congratulations, and it's all admiration to you and your team. I also got the balance sheet in time. I thank you for Samir for getting yesterday the balance sheet. Only my request is in future when you send the balance sheet, also send notice of the meeting. There is a soft copy, luckily I can see, but with old people, we are used to the hard copy. You send in time, but also I request that you also, I requested Aparna to take care in future, this time it was okay, that to give a even this notice of the hard copy of the notice of the meeting also, that can help us. Sir, my first question is, recently there was a paper in which they said that RBI penalty has been lavished on some insurance arm. If it is 5.7 crores or so, if such is the case, are we putting some committee or accountability to our people who have done this? That is my first question. And second thing, in one of the resolutions, I voted all 13 resolutions in favor, just to inform you that there are there is one resolution also that we are infusing the fund by 8 and 4,000 crore, and we have taken enabling resolution for 1 year. Can you just elaborate it, any time frame, or it's just left to the management and the committee of board of directors? So what is the time frame and how you are proposing to raise these funds? And my last question, sir, I've been requesting even Samir, and I know that I'm in Bombay, sir. My name is Unmesh, and I stay very close by to you, as you know. Then even time and often you come here, Bombay. Shyam, sir, see, Samir is also having the office in Bombay. So at least once in a year, because now the bank is progressing so well, we have benefited. I congratulate you. So at least 12 years, see, Shyam sir is on the helm. Samir is here. So why not at least once in a year also we have a meeting in personal meeting? That will help, sir. If it can be done, I'll be thankful to you can do so. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. Our next speaker shareholder is Mr. Nanda Kumar. Nanda, request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Go ahead, sir. We can see you. We can't hear you, Mr.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Mr.
Hello.
Nanda, request you to accept the unmute request from the moderator.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
I am audible, huh?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. Respected Chairman, Mr. Rajat Mabala Gopal, respected Sri Shyam Srinivasan, MD and CEO, eminent members of the Board of Directors, officers of Federal Bank, my dear fellow shareholders, good morning to all of you. The financial year gone by has been good for the bank, and the first quarter of FY23 is even better in terms of financial performance. I congratulate Sri Shyam Srinivasan and his team Federal for meticulously steering the bank safely through the troubled waters of the pandemic years of FY 2021 and FY 2022. The growth and quality of assets were not as adversely affected as initially apprehended. Bringing down the NNPA to a level of less than 1% is no mean achievement by any yardstick. In FY22, Federal Bank could achieve the targeted ROA of 1% and a decent ROE of 12%. The numbers for Q1 FY23 also were quite heartening and encouraging. I understand that the ROA targeted for FY23 is 1.1% and the growth in advances targeted is 15%. This can definitely translate to an ROE of around 14%. I believe that Sri Shyam Srinivasan at the helm of affairs is achieving this is not at all impossible. Looking further, achieving 1.25% ROA on a further loan growth of 15% in FY24, I believe could be a tough proposition unless we address certain key issues. First, in FY22, we achieved a growth in advances of 10% against a growth in deposits of 5%. Later in Q1 FY23, our advances grew by 16.3% against a deposit growth of 8.2%. While it is good to see that we are optimizing on the liquidity coverage ratio, this cannot be extrapolated into an indefinite future as this is not sustainable. Even in the medium term, deposits have to grow in tandem with the growth in advances. A liability franchisee has always been great with Federal Bank, but of late, even considering the good CASA growth, I think we need to do more here. Please remember the classic preschool study of Surf versus Nirma in the early 80s. Hindustan Unilever was happy that its growth in sale of detergents was exemplary, but was unaware that they were losing market share. True that the market share of Federal Bank in advances is growing. The rule of thumb says that the banking sector in a developing economy grows at 2 to 3% above the GDP growth. That way, the growth of Federal Bank in FY21 by 7% when India's GDP shrank, its 10% growth in FY22 when the GDP grew at 8.7%, and the targeted 15% for FY23 apparently looked great. But I believe some introspection will do us good here. The growth of private sector banks in India in the past decade and a half was at the cost of their public sector counterparts. Many banks like the State Bank of Travancore and the Syndicate Bank disappeared through mergers and acquisitions, and many more became marginalized players, while banks like HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank preyed on these banks and grew in a supersonic pace. Just to give an idea of the growth achieved by some of these biggies, the advances of HDFC Bank in FY22 grew by 2.36 lakh crores. Please understand that the corresponding total advances of Federal Bank was only 1.45 lakh crores. The bottom line is that HDFC Bank is almost 10 times the size of Federal Bank. And in FY22 alone, they added 1.5 federal banks to their business in absolute terms. Now that the market share of the public sector banks have shrank considerably, the big banks will have to look elsewhere to maintain growth. Going forward, this could result in increased competition for the likes of Federal Bank, both in the asset and liability, both in the asset front as well as in the liability front. Our NRI customer base and deposits, which are the envy of every other bank in the state, needs to be protected and nurtured. I am sure the board of directors and the management of Federal Bank are aware of these developments. I laud Federal Bank for identifying fintech partnerships as an engine for growth for the future and also for putting in place an impeccable digital infrastructure which is second to none in the country. Another heartening thing to note is that the bank has decided to resume adding branches after many years. I understand that these are going to be in locations where potential is high and the presence of Federal Bank is not prominent. A word of caution here, new branches may take time to break even. The growth in ROE and ROA for the bank has to be insulated till such time. At the risk of sounding repetitive, let me briefly touch upon two aspects which I have been bringing to the notice of the board in earlier years. We should follow a conservative dividend policy. With the price to book ratio of the bank being more than 1 today, a rupee retained in the bank is worth more than a rupee for the investor by way of share price, whereas the dividend income is taxable in the hands of the shareholder and hence a rupee disbursed is less than 70 paise in his hands. The second aspect is also related to conservation of capital. As in the earlier years, this year also there is a resolution enabling the management to raise capital and if and when required. Our CRAR, I understand, is comfortable now. This authorization has to be exercised only when capital is essential, that too only at the right price. If markets are not conducive for fairly pricing the QIP or an FPO, please raise capital only through a rights issue. That too only after exhausting the raising capital internally, like being more prudent in dividend policy, are exhausted. I believe the management is aware that the lock-in period against the 75% of our investment of 300 crores in S Bank will end this financial year and they can be sold to raise capital for Federal Bank. The IPO of FedFina has already been announced and I understand that the RHP has been approved by SEBI. Can you please update us on this proposed timing of the issue? I am sure that this offspring also will bring some precious capital to the parent. Before concluding, please allow me to remind Sri Shyam Srinivasan about a promise he made a few years back. When some of us shareholders requested that the board may consider issuing bonus shares, he replied that if the market price per share falls below $1, FIIs generally would not buy the stock, labeling it as a penny stock. So we would wait for a more opportune time to consider bonus issue. I am optimistic about FY 2023. I am sure the share price of Federal Bank will go comfortably past $2 before we meet at the next AGM. My request to you, respected Chairman, dear MD and CEO and the board is to split the share to face value of ₹1 when that happens. I once again thank the board, Sri Shyam Srinivasan and his team for conserving our hard-earned wealth during the troubled times, even at the cost of some growth. Also, as a shareholder, customer and well-wisher of the bank, I look forward to growth in the coming years through conventional as well as novel means like opening more branches, more corporate advances, leveraging on loan against gold and shares, calibrated initiatives in unsecured lending through credit cards and through tie-ups with fintech partners. All these, of course, keeping the asset quality intact. I bestow total faith in the chairman, MD and CEO and the board of directors of Federal Bank to steer this esteemed institution forward to further heights of excellence in the coming years. I am glad to state that I have already voted in favor of all the resolutions proposed and recommended. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Nanda. Our next speaker shareholder is Mr. Surendra Nath. Mr. Nath, request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. We can hear you.
साहब आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Please proceed with your question.
थोड़ा बैंडविड्थ का इशू है सर, तो बताइएगा जब आवाज ना मिले. You can hear me,
We
sir?
can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Namaskar, Srinivasan sir. Namaskar to the team. Sir, definitely the purpose of a bank is lending and borrowing, and that is how and earning net interest margin on the same. But due to the capitalistic nature of the society and also the availability of capital at some about distorted rates, the banking business, the main art of banking has been what to say has been made very different. And now, hello.
Go ahead,
and,
sir. Go ahead.
And now, yes, sir, yes. And now it has become imperative for bankers to look at different other aspects also to improve its margin, and also the tighter regulatory norms makes the business of banking a tough nut to crack. Srinivasan sir, it is a great pleasure to see the continuity from by the grace of RBI giving you the second term. Therefore, also for the banks, its policies, the books, many things get continuity. Otherwise, we have seen the same what happens to different banks when the top notch at the there's a change at the top notch. So, sir, just to understand a very small point from you, how does market value it depends upon the stock price at which the market cap at which the bank is trading. But when we look at your book value, I think it is around 94 rupees. Correct me there. And the stock of late has just reached the 3-figure mark after a gap of, say, suppose a year. And on a consistent basis, if you take the average pricing of the stock historical data, it has traded below the 3-figure mark. So, sir, to make the long story short, the moot point for what is there on the table for your investors when bankers like you and your team operate in the marketplace, you want to be an efficient bank wherein the due diligence are worked out, you lend to the right people, you make the right collections and book the net interest margin and convert the same into profits after adjusting for the cost. Correct me there, sir, if I'm wrong. Mota process ye hai. But what happens to your investors is where the delinquencies comes from the lending part. Where comes the NPA? Where comes this terms of GP, gross NPA, then net NPA, then the slippages. So when technology has taken over so many aspects of life, when even my mobile phone can now can understand what I'm thinking and try to provide me with all the ads and all which I have thought or searched about, वो पहले से नर्व पकड़ सके कि कहाँ स्लिपेज आने वाला है, and the way the bankers announce कि इतना तो स्लिपेज हम मान के चलते हैं, तो ये कैसा how can you justify this point, sir? When sorry sir if my language is incorrect, थोड़ा English में गड़बड़ हो रहा है, but what I'm trying to convey to you, when you people speak of slippage as if it is a royal word, and you speak that कि इतना slippage तो बनता है, and when you come up with a lower number on slippage, it is well celebrated everywhere. So why do the bankers have to come with this slippage art? आप जब सारे delinquencies करते हैं, right person को से उसका caution money लेते हैं, तब फिर ये कैसे लफड़ा बनता है? If I may use the wrong word here, but I'm trying to make a point here. So this comes the point, then comes the point of banks being listed on the exchanges. it's a very different aspect for investing community to first to understand what kind of profitability a bank can give going over a period of time, because your variables are n numbers. Even though there are banking analysts, even the best of them go haywire when your provisioning ऊपर नीचे होती है. For a quarter you provision X and the next time it is X by 2, and we don't know how the things are going to shape up going forward. So there is no continuity in there we cannot predict the numbers, and it becomes a very difficult job for investors who are putting money. Sir, even the Federal Bank has the key marquee names, and I can see what kind of money they have made by remaining investing in your bank. Not only in your bank, banking as a sector. तो सर थॉट प्रोसेस यही है कि बैंक अगर चाहता है कि वो सिर्फ डिपॉजिट जो अट्रैक्ट करता है हमसे, उसको छोड़ के अगर स्टॉक मार्केट में भी वो अपने इन्वेस्टर्स में वो रुझान बना के रखे, वो इंटरेस्ट बना के रखे, तो बैंकिंग कैसे की जाती है सर, इस पे चिंतन होना चाहिए सर. इतनी चिंतन बैठकें हुई हैं सर, कैसे बैंकिंग होनी चाहिए. आई थिंक इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग इट वाज द फर्स्ट गवर्नमेंट, मोदी गवर्नमेंट जी ने ये पहला एक नियम भी बनाया था. तो उस चिंतन से निकालिए सर इसको, और हमारी चिंता दूर कीजिए कि जो इन्वेस्टर्स बैंक शेयर में पैसा लगाते हैं उनको कैसे ये कॉन्फिडेंस आए कि सारे बैंक कैसे HDFC और कोटक बन सकते हैं. अरे आप बन नहीं सकते तो उनके आसपास कैसे जा सकते हैं. आई एम नॉट टेलिंग दैट यू विल कमांड 3 times or 4 times or 5 times books, because there's a different ball game works together altogether. I'm not going to into that, but at least when an investor invest in your bank and thereby he is investing in a company, he is looking for 2 aspects. Number 1, protection of his capital, growth of his capital, and the dividend payout. डिविडेंड में भी सर RBI के पास हमारी लगाम है, वो जब चाहें डिविडेंड पे लगाम लगा सकते हैं जैसे एक प्रमोटर करता है, और रोक सकते हैं आपको डिविडेंड देने के लिए नहीं देने के लिए. तो वो प्रतिबंध उनके हाथ में आ जाता है. एंड इट इज ट्रू दैट इज द ड्यू डिलिजेंस ऑन RBI, and it is correct. My understanding is, sorry to give my views, but it is correct that he decide the regulatory framework decide whether dividend payout is correct or not. And other than that comes the capital appreciation part of the story, sir. Now we people are very short point is that how will your investors can you restore your investors confidence in the market? Take steps to create investors value, sir. Otherwise sir, this is a big marketplace. आज इन्वेस्टर्स एक समय के बाद सर इन्वेस्टर थक के आपके शेयर से निकल के दूसरी कंपनियों में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे. हम आपके बैंकिंग सर्विसेज एंजॉय करते हैं, आपके पोर्टल्स में आपके ATMs यूज करते हैं, सब कुछ सही है, बट इन्वेस्टर्स को कब आप खुश कर सकेंगे सर? इस पर वर्क कीजिए, चिंतन इस पे कीजिए, और इसमें से निचोड़ निकालिए कि कहाँ त्रुटि रह जाती है कि मार्केट आपको सही वैल्यू नहीं देता है. आपने भी कहा था 1-1.5 साल पहले की बात है कि हम लोग राइट टाइम वेट करेंगे, इन्वेस्टर्स को मौका देंगे कि कैसे हम राइट टाइम पे इक्विटी इश्यूएंस करेंगे. फिर आपने 5% इक्विटी डाइल्यूट कर दी 82 रुपए के भाव में, क्योंकि आपकी शायद कैपिटल एडिक्वेसी की रिक्वायरमेंट होगी. तो इस प्रकार सर अगर आपके लिए सर इक्विटी सिर्फ एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट है कैपिटल रुपया उठाने के लिए, लेकिन जो एग्जिस्टिंग इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उनकी तो सर उनकी तो गाड़ी कमाई इसमें लगी हुई है जो वो इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. आप एक स्टेप लेते हैं और सारी बैलेंस शीट डिनोमिनेटर चेंज कर देते हैं एक स्टेप में. तो सर इस सारे एस्पेक्ट्स को ध्यान रखिए. यही चीजें हमने कर्नाटका बैंक में भी देखी, यही चीजें साउथ इंडियन बैंक में भी देखते हैं सर. तो बस सर मूड पॉइंट यही है सर. एंड अदर देन दैट सर हमारे लोग आपके कॉल सुनते हैं, आपकी टीम तो सर सारे एस्पेक्ट्स को समझाती है, उसके बावजूद भी मार्केट आपकी स्टोरी को थम्स अप नहीं देता है. तो एटलीस्ट सर ये वेजरीज जो नंबर्स की है उसको कैसे आप ग्रिप कर सकें, उस पर वर्क करिए सर. अब बैंकिंग को थोड़ा ऐसा एक सेक्टर बनाइए जो अनटच ना बन जाए इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए सर. बाकी फिनटेक एंड एवरीथिंग, कुडोज टू द टीम सर. अच्छे से अच्छा काम आप कर रहे हैं, साफ सुथरे लोग हैं. तो सर सोचिए क्या एस्पेक्ट है, कहाँ ये फर्क रह जा रहा है, क्यों नहीं वैल्यूएशन हम लोगों को मिल रही है सर. बाकी तो सर ठीक है, सब अच्छा ही है. एंड आई विश फॉर द well of the bank, its employees, the hard work you people are doing. It's a tough business and a tough way to किसी को पैसा देना सहज है सर, उससे उगाई करना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो ये बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट जॉब सर आप कर रहे हो. All the best, sir, to the team, and we hope for the quality of numbers, your return on ROA to improve, जैसे आपने guide किया है, NIMs भी आपके improve करें, जैसे श्रीनिवासन साहब उनकी टीम ने guide किया है. We look forward for that. But valuation के front पे सर देखिए कि क्या किया जा सकता है सर, और क्या realm of things में applicable है, हो सकता है. I took lot of time from you, sir, and thank you for a very patient hearing, sir. All the best, sir. Thank you. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Our next speaker shareholder is Mr. Parakal.
Mr. Purus.
Mr. Parakal, I request you to unmute yourself and ask your question. Mr. Parakal, request you to accept the unmute request from the moderator.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible. Please proceed with your question now.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Hello.
Yes, Carlos. Yes, we can hear you.
Respected Chairman, Board of Directors, Shyam sir, Kajuria sir, Shalini madam, my fellow shareholders, dear federals, my dear friends, greetings from a retired federal. I am happy to congratulate our board for the excellent results presented before us and for the ever greater performance of our bank during the first quarter of the current financial year. Figures were already discussed here. Total business grew by 7%, net profit increased by 19%, net interest margin is at 3.2%, capital adequacy ratio is at a comfortable 15.77%, net NPA came down to 0.9%. Amount involved in frauds have come down to almost half of last year. We were recognized as a great place to work in 2022 also, added 12 new branches and have set a goal of expanding our footprint by over 25 to 30% over next 3 years. I wish to discuss 2-3 points here. At the last annual general meeting, we had approved an investment proposal totaling 5% of our shares from International Finance Corporation under their Greening Equity Initiative. They are first in India. IFC is a prestigious international finance institution, and it is a big thing that a World Bank Group member partner with a bank like ours. Shareholders may remember that at the time of making this investment, IFC had put forward some preconditions. Everyone knows the conditions. Banks have to stay away from some sectors, reduce exposure to sectors like coal sector, and gradually bring down it to zero. Bank have to give periodic report to IFC like that. Green equity has some threats attached to it. When one goes through this year's report, all of a sudden there is a sea change in bank's views. Anything and everything bank sees through ESG eyes. We have established an environmental and social management system policy and profile all financing through ENS lens. I have some serious concerns here. Who says we will get all the green business only because we have started green lending, green deposits, and adopted reporting on international standards? Banks in India function as per industry standards set by rule of the law country. Is it mandatory for other banks also to fulfill the environmental conditions? Sure. We at Federal Bank are committed to society and environment. We have spent more than the record 2% of profit for the CSR initiative this year also. But now I feel we are forced. I am happy to see our founders' native place, our Mokanur, Angamali, Alua, and Kannur figure in the list of CSR initiatives this year also. Hope we will continue to honor our bank founder through these social services in the coming years also. Of late, we were in news for wrong reasons. A fine of 5.72 crores were imposed on us for not ensuring that the insurance companies do not give any incentives to our employees for promoting their products. At the last annual general meeting, I had placed an appeal before the board. We are bankers. We are to earn our income from our core business. Let the fee and other income come in the ordinary course of business. Sure, we are financial supermarkets. Let the customer select. Let us not push the products. If at all we push the banking products, our CASA and all. Out of our total other income of 2089 crores, 179 crores were recovery of return of assets. Fee income from insurance business totals to 85 crores only. I hope we have ensured the lapse will not recur and suitable warnings were given and delivered to the concerned officials on the file already. Banking industry had some unfortunate experiences of employee suicides due to work pressure during these years. Certainly not in our bank, but in our bank also employees experience great work pressure. Many of our officers do not down shutters before 8 p.m. Shalini Madam, let us arrange our work so that everyone leaves office by 6:30 p.m. Let them enjoy the family and social life. We are human at core, no? It's a pleasure to see that the shares were granted this year also under ESOS. I hope board will ensure fair and equitable distribution of ESOS in our bank. We are thankful to the board for everything you have done for us retired federals. This year, the PF case also were settled for us. Thank you, fellow shareholders. Thank you, federals. Thank you all. Hope to see all at the Alua Town Hall for the next annual general meeting. Proud to be a federal. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bolas. Mr. Babu George? We can't hear him. Mr. George? Pradey, you can go to the next person and then come back. Who's the next? Prakashini.
Prakashini
Mohit
Shannon.
has come.
Oh, Mohit has come.
Yeah, Prakashini is not available, I think. Mr. Mohit? Mr. Mohit?
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Mohit, can you hear us?
Hear me? Yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you perfectly. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. I'll directly jump into the questions. Sir, my first question is that what is the branches for next 3 years? Sir, in your statements, you explained that you will be reaching 25% of your current branches in next 5 years. So can you give us the exact numbers? How many branches are we going to put for next 5 years? Sir, next question is regarding FedFina IPO. What's the timeline for the IPO? Do retail shareholders have any specific rights for this IPO? So my next question is for NRI deposits in GCC countries. We are a predominant player in that countries. Whether what are we planning for any road shows or going to put more branches in that GCC countries? So next is that our branches are mainly in 50% in Kerala as well as Tamil Nadu. So what's our plan, a roadmap to grow in North India, a North India business? Because we are there only in southern market, but North India we are not a dominant player. And my next question is any plans of inorganic growth, whether we can acquire any microfinance institution or merge with any banks. There are small banks like Dhanalakshmi, South Indian. Whether is there any possible of merging or takeovers, M&A of inorganic growth? Because Federal Bank has not been in this category. Like Kotak have done, IDFC have done the mergers, but we have not in the part of mergers. Next question is regarding Aegis Federal Life Insurance. What is the future growth for this insurance company? What Federal Bank wants to do with this insurance company and the stake in this insurance? Sir, the next is that, sir, Federal Banks, we all are celebrating our 91st AGM. Sir, but still we are smaller than HDFC, Kotak and ICICI. They have started just 20 years before, 25 years before, but still we are smaller than them. Why is it so? Why can't we grow bigger in the scale up? We are for 91 years. It's a little skeptical. Why we are so slow? As well as regarding the AGM next year, if it is a physical AGM, we would request it as an online as well as offline, so that we can also because I am from Chennai, so that we can also participate in a virtual AGM. So it will be useful for us also. And I'm really congratulating Sham sir for getting an RBI nod for next 3 years. Sir, what is the succession planning after 2024? And that's all, sir. That's all from my end. I sincerely all the best to this board, and we as a Federal Bank shareholders, we support your bank from our bottom of our heart. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan. Who? Mr. Prakash. Miss Prakash. Miss Prakashini, are you able to join?
Thank you, Mr. Mohit. We request Mr. Babu George to join again. Mr. Babu, request you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Bombay. Hello? Hello?
Yes? Yes. Yes, please
hello,
go ahead.
Sir, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yes. We can hear you.
I'm Prakashini Ganesha Shanal from Bombay. Respected Honorable Chairman,
Yes.
other dignitaries on the board, and my fellow shareholders, good afternoon to all of you. I received the annual report well in time, which is informative, transparent, and contains all the information as per the corporate governance. I thank the company secretary and his team for the same. Of course, I have not heard the speech of this thing. I was busy with another meeting. Anyway, it will be good. I am thankful to the chair for giving such a beautiful picture about the bank, its working, etc. I'm thankful to the board for recommending dividend for the financial year 21-22. At the outset, I thank the management for receiving number of awards for the financial year 21-22. Sir, I have just 2 questions. How many accounts online were opened during the financial year? Next question is, how our bank is planning for digital future? I wish the bank good luck for a bright future and pray God that the profit of the bank shall reach the peak in due course. Sir, I wholeheartedly and strongly support all the resolutions put forth in today's meeting. Thank you, Chairman, sir.
Thank you very much,
have completed the Q&A session. I now hand it over back to Chairperson to conduct the further proceedings of this AGM. Thank you.
Thank you to the shareholders for raising so many interesting questions. Now for giving replies to your queries and evaluating the various opinions and suggestions of the shareholders, I would like to invite Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, dear shareholders. Those were very, very useful and valid inputs. Allow me to go through some of the questions and the responses for that. I think shareholder Umesh opened by asking us three particular observations and questions. One was around the insurance penalty, second is around the capital raise. And let me just try and speak about that. Sir, unfortunately, there was an incident in 2019-20 where insurance incentives were paid to some employees and appropriate responses and disclosure was made to RBI. But since it was a regulatory breach, they did see it fit to levy a penalty. And in terms of employees who were on the wrong side of the activity, they were suitably punished and they did have a clawback on the amounts that they were rewarded. And as a senior person at the bank at the helm of it, I took the responsibility of not even opting for any personal benefits of bonus or options. So we have taken appropriate actions. Most importantly, it's a one-off event that happened 3 years ago and it's not a repeat event. The board has taken extremely close watch on every step of the activities and improvements in processes are very much in place. And we haven't seen recurrence of any such nature. And you will notice across long periods of time, our regulatory compliance has been impeccable and it will continue to be so. So I would reassure all our shareholders that there's nothing to either worry or read into it, except for the fact that there was a one-off event which we have taken appropriate actions. On capital raise, like last year, this year too, we've sought our shareholder approval for up to 4,000 crores. Certainly when the opportunity arises, and if and when the opportunity arises, we use capital quite responsibly. For long periods of time, I think in the last 11, 12 years, Federal Bank is probably the only organization that has grown through internal accruals, except for one capital raise at an appropriate price in 2017. We haven't done any QIP or any such activity. In FY22, you may recall we did an IFC was up to 5%. We brought them in. Beyond these, there has been no capital interventions, and we've grown considerably over the years entirely through internal accruals. And therefore, our principle and philosophy is try to make sure that we are wise and judicious in use of capital, and that philosophy will continue unless we see meaningful opportunities that come up. We will be very conservative on how we use capital. I think this answers partly a question that shareholder Nanda Kumar also pointed out. Mr. Nanda Kumar mentioned and did caution us on a few areas. Certainly, sir, we have taken note of all of them, and we are acutely sensitive to some of the aspects of growth and yet keeping the discipline of growth managed alongside keeping our credit quality intact, which has been the focus of the bank for many years, as you sort of tracked us over the years. And we don't see that wavering. We don't see us wavering from both being sensitive to good quality growth, and the operative word is good and quality, and we would like to make sure that we don't compromise on either, and we continue to steam ahead. We do believe FY23 at this juncture, just as we reported a very strong performance in Q1, we will be focused on repeating or delivering similar numbers in quarters ahead. The underlying point you mentioned, I think, is about the quality of focus on deposit growth. We have been thoughtful about deposit growth and not bulked up our book. We have been always focused on granular. So in FY22 and in FY21, we shed some of the bulk deposits because we did not want to carry high cost bulk deposits. We wanted to make sure that it's retail in nature. As we look at FY23, I think the markets, as you pointed out, the liquidity is getting stressed out and there is a situation that may require adequate focus on deposits. And we are at this juncture very attractively priced for retail, domestic and non-resident deposits. And we will continue to make sure our deposit growth continues to be very robust, particularly on the retail and at the end of a customer. So that will continue to be. Your observations on bonus shares and have been noted, and we will certainly have appropriate actions as we get into FY23. Shareholder Surendranath spoke at length around the value of the bank. Sir, I just want to reassure on behalf of the entire team, the board, we are sensitive to the fact that the share price has not reacted to all our efforts. But I can only assure you the management is unwavering in its focus on building value. I just want to point out we probably are the very few banks that in the last 5 years has more than 50% growth in our book value per share. We do believe very confidently that in periods ahead, this book value per share will translate into multiples, earning multiples, and our share price expansion is, probably due, as in our sustained performance improvement is visible. And we, like I pointed out, are sensitive about creating value. Valuation follows, and I'm convinced that our book value per share growth on a sustained basis cannot be ignored, and we do believe value and in a value creation, but valuation will follow value creation. And I'm sincerely hopeful that when we gather next year this time around, we are in a position to make sure that we are all celebrating a much higher share price. But that is something that management can't control. We can only focus on the inputs, which is performance. And I can assure you on behalf of the entire team, the board, that is our singular focus, high quality performance. And I operative word is high and quality. Both are important for us. Shareholder Paulo spoke about many areas. I think his observations are well noted. I did answer on the insurance, and I think Ms. Paulos, you should be aware that we are an ESG committed institution, and we believe that this is something that is the right way to grow a franchise socially and be relevant for societies, relevant from a point of a highest quality of governance, and yet focuses on businesses that are growth oriented, that will preserve society for long periods of time. As a socially responsible corporate, we will not take our eyes off that. And any commitments we make to either an invested party or the society have to be taken in the context of over long periods of time, how do we glide path down rather than an abrupt stop. And even in the partnership with IFC, there is a commitment over a long period of time, we will zeroize some, but there are incremental growth opportunities which are substantial, and we will make sure that those compensate for any potential reduction in any other areas. That's why we have not suggested any lower growth in the years ahead. And we believe that as long as the environment doesn't turn very, say, hostile, Federal Bank's quality and growth will be intact and will continue to grow. Shareholder Mohit had a few observations. Branches, I did not guide for 5 years, sir. I guided for the next 3 years. We're saying 25% expansion. We are at this point in time 1,282 branches. We believe between now and FY25, we will be in a position to add another 250 branches or so. Exact locations are certainly something that cannot be crystallized at this very juncture. We can take a quarter to quarter view. In the quarter ahead, we're looking at another 15 branches. That is the quarter 2. And by end of calendar 23, financial year 23, we would have added 65 branches. And NR deposits, we are a magnet for that segment of the market. We, like Mr. Bala pointed out in the opening remarks, 21% of India's remittances come through Federal Bank. And this is not just GCC India or GCC Kerala. This is globally coming into India, and we tap into a large share of that. And it's certainly our endeavor to use technology and our ground coverage to ensure that that share only keeps climbing. Just to remind ourselves, we were 6% of India's remittances only 7-8 years back. We are 21% of India's remittances. I don't think of any institution that can even match our rate of growth, and we don't see that cooling off in periods ahead. Certainly, we will, as things unfold, we will be looking at an online-offline model as we go into AGMs in the years ahead, and observations of why an institution that is 91 years old should be smaller than HDFC and ICICI. Sometimes we have to be quite conscious of cutting our cloth to suit our needs. I don't think we should try to be somebody else. We have chosen to be the most admired bank, and we will not take our eyes off that. Our growth, quality, and our credibility is paramount, and we will continue to grow. And in periods ahead, there have been institutions in the last 10 years who tried to mimic those models, and today don't even have an address. So Federal Bank is very sensitive to kind of growth and how we grow and how we pace our growth, because we can't eat more than we can digest. So rest assured, shareholder Mohit and others, that the bank's commitment to growth and quality are unwavering, and we will ensure that in the periods ahead, you will be proud to be a shareholder. And our job is to create value, and in the bargain, valuations will go up. And we will commit to delivering that, and that's the bank's focus. In terms of succession, the bank has a very well thought through succession plan. The board has continuously reviews that, and the nomination committee of the board constantly looks at how to improve the bench strength of the organization, and this is reviewed at all and on a periodic basis. I'm sure the board will have very thoughtful answers to you when and around my term ends, which is still 3 years away. Lastly, Madam Shenoy, thank you very much for your inputs. You would have noticed that our theme of digital at the fore, human at the core is prevalent in everything we do. We have got very good fintech partnerships which are helping us bring a large number of the clients digitally. I did mention we had a whopping 96 lakh crore transactions last year which were digital, which is a 26% growth over the previous year. And we believe in the period ahead, similar performance or even a greater improvement will happen. And I've always said the future of digital is human, and our focus is to make sure that we are digital at the fore and human at the core, and rest assured that both elements will power up and ensure Federal Bank can truly be most admired. So thank you very much, all our shareholders, and always happy to engage with you. And I'm sure we'll get opportunities to meet up somewhere, someplace in person too. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Shyam Srinivasan, for answering all the questions raised by the shareholders. We have 92 shareholders who attended this meeting, and there were 6 among them who had questions and who spoke. I would like to extend my wholehearted thanks to my colleagues on the board for their sincere cooperation and support for the smooth conduct of the annual general meeting. I also extend thanks to the valuable customers of the bank, the shareholders, and our large team of employees for their support. Wishing you all the very best and urging you all to stay safe and stay well. I now invite the Executive Director, Mr. Ashutosh Khajuria, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon all. Respected Chairman Mr. Balagopal Chandrasekhar, MD and CEO Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, Honorable Directors on the board, esteemed shareholders, the Federal family, ladies and gentlemen. The 90th Annual General Meeting of the bank is coming to a successful conclusion. With the patronage and support of our shareholders, customers, and employees, we could have a decent performance in a year full of unforeseen challenges and obstacles, particularly for the banking sector. A creditable achievement indeed, about which all of us can be proud of. It is mainly the support and patronage of shareholders that gives us the confidence for future. While thanking the fraternity of shareholders for their unstinted support, I welcome our new shareholders also, who brought with them the strength and repute to the bank's balance sheet. Bank's customers are our strength and our motivation. Many of our shareholders are also our customers. The existence of the enterprise is because of its customers and for its customers. To all our customers who are extremely valued to us and who all are spread across the states in India and across the countries globally, I extend my heartfelt thanks for patronizing the bank all through the challenges. Now, it is my pleasant privilege to thank all those who have been instrumental to make this meeting a success. I especially thank all those who actively participated in the meeting and raised quite pertinent queries. The meeting is being presided over by our Honorable Chairman, Mr. Balagopal Chandrasekhar, a person of white parts, a former bureaucrat, a successful entrepreneur, a prolific writer, an extensively traveled person, etc., etc. His commitment and leadership has been invaluable. On behalf of all the shareholders, directors on the board, employees, and all those present in the meeting, I extend my hearty thanks to our chairman, Mr. Balagopal Chandrasekhar. Our MD and CEO, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, has been leading the organization for nearly 12 years, a period symbolized as a yuga in our culture. In Shyam Yuga, the bank has been run with a missionary zeal, and under his leadership, the bank has stood firm on the pillars of transparency, openness, and the best practices in everything that we do. He is determined and dedicated to make this bank equally attractive for all the shareholders, customers, employees, and the society. With the excellent results which we all witness now is a reflection of his relentless pursuit to take the bank to greater heights and make it the most admired bank. Under his leadership, the bank has expanded from 700 odd branches to nearly 1,300 branches and is amongst the top 6 private sector banks, both in top line growth and in profitability, while upholding its heritage, culture, and the values laid down by our late founder, Mr. K.P. Hormus. His vision to make our bank as the most admired bank for all stakeholders is a path on which the entire team federal is committed to tread. I thank you, sir, for your leadership and wish you a long and more successful innings ahead. Directors on our board have rich and varied experience in governance, regulation, banking, accounting, administration, risk management, payment and settlement systems, international banking, MSME, agriculture, and information technology, and bring with them a load of experience, first-hand experience on the board, the highest level of professionalism as well. For their guidance and contribution, thank you, madams and sirs. It is our employees at all levels who build up the bank through their hard work. To all the employees of the bank, and especially to all those who have been risking their lives in the past extremely difficult times to put in exemplary efforts to ensure the normal running of day-to-day banking operations and servicing our esteemed customers, and also those who have ensured the smooth conduct of this AGM, I express my sincere gratitude to all of them. I also thank the ex-directors and retired employees who are participating in this digital meeting, who built the strong foundation on which the present edifice is being constructed. On behalf of the shareholders, board of directors, the management team, and all the officials and employees of the bank, I express my sincere gratitude to all the auditors for a smooth yet highly professional conduct of audits. I take this opportunity to specially thank our statutory central auditors, Messrs. Verma and Verma, and Messrs. Borkan and Majumdar, who all throughout have maintained high level of professionalism and quality in conducting the audit and limited reviews of the quarterly financial statements of the bank. Bank has been receiving good encouragement from the press and media, and I thank all the members of the press and media who have been covering our bank through the year, and some of them would be present here to cover this event as well. I appreciate the good work done by Multi PV Tech Solutions Private Limited and personnel connections in making this function colorful. Thank you very much. Once again, thanking all of you, I conclude. Ellavarkam Inte Sneham Niranjanani. My heartfelt thanks to all. Wish you all a very happy Amrit Mahotsav of India's independence. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Jagat.
Thank you, Ashutosh Khajuria, for that very uplifting vote of thanks. I thank all the shareholders, the board of directors, members, the staff and employees, and other stakeholders who attended this meeting and for their enthusiastic participation. And I hereby declare the proceedings as closed. Thank you.
Thank you, dear members. As instructed by the scrutinizer, we request all the members participating in the AGM to cast their votes. Please note, voting will be for next 30 minutes. Thank you.